All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Miranda Doyle, one of the librarians for Lake Oswego School District, and I'll let Carrie introduce.
I'm Carrie Light. I'm the other district librarian for Lake Oswego. I'm super happy to be working with Miranda and meeting all of you.
Thank you. So I know some of you have probably been to this presentation before, and we do have some updates and some new things to talk about, and then some things to go over as well that we did in the last one. You should be seeing our presentation, and we'll get started. So I'll talk very briefly about how to find and choose a book, and I know Carrie will have some good input on this too. But we have nice infographics. We'll share the link to you, you can explore any of these as good ways to find books to do as read-alouds. And then Carrie has some suggestions on that link as well, the last part.
Yeah, and I put the link into the chat if you want to grab it. And it is kind of tricky to find picture books as ebook versions, because of course a picture book is meant to be held and looked at that way. But things are changing. Lake Oswego Public Library is putting up more and more picture book options that we have access to, and we did buy some more picture books for Sora as well. So that suggestions may be helpful to you. And yeah, the link should be in the chat box. If you open up the chat, you should be able to see it. But we're going to send out this slideshow as well, and you'll have these links. And if you want to have a central place, the LOSD Logic website is a great place that has all this information too. Get that link for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's the link to the presentation, and then the graphic that we just showed, if I can remember exactly. E-L-E-M. There you go. So that'll take you to the graphic, which is a really good way to find some of the information. But that suggested read aloud link is helpful too. And hopefully, if some of you do have picture books at home, of course you could always present them and read them and record that. But the ebook option is great because you can show the book up on the screen, and students can see the pictures and the words really well, while they also see your face and hear your voice. Great. Okay, so that's on finding and choosing a book.
And real quickly, if you have trouble, Miranda did a great job. We tried to make sure that all the links are very clickable, that you're able to get where you need to go. If there's a password, we provided it. But if you have any questions, just let us know.
Yeah, we wish we had more great picture books in our collection, our Sora digital library, but we do have some pretty good ones, and a few of them are unlimited access. If you use the public library picture books, sometimes you have to put those on hold and wait to get an email, but they're also in the suggestion list. They have unlimited ones as well that you can have right away. Mm-hmm. We wanted to address just what if you aren't recording a read aloud, but you want to be reading with students and you want to be reading an ebook. And we're going to do something on this in the future, probably next week. But just wanted to point out that you can have 2 Chrome windows open. You can have a split screen. If you've got 2 devices, you can do some things with that too. But just the simplest way is to have 2 Chrome browsers open to be presenting to a student. In this example, I have an ebook open, and Carrie's my student, so I can see her face and talk to her, and she can see the book, and we can read together, which is really nice. And I use the pin so that I could see her face larger on that screen. So if you are working one-on-one with a student or with a small group and you're using ebooks, it can be a little confusing because you're wondering maybe like, if I'm just looking at the book, I can't see the students. If I'm looking at the students, I can't see the book, or they can't see it. How do I do that? Split screen is one way. And in the example before, this is what the student was seeing. They were seeing me and the book, so we could read together, or I could read out loud to them. Okay.
Yeah, so there, just like before, our other presentation, we had mentioned there are different options for recording yourself with an ebook. Of course, there's this option, the Google Meet, where you literally just start a meeting and you're the only one in it. It's nice because, as you just saw, you are able to show yourself on the screen in the recording, and there isn't a time limit, although it is good to keep it still a shorter read aloud. There's also the Screencastify option, and we've got a slide down the road here that'll give you more details about that. Screencastify also lets you show yourself on the screen, and it is free through the month of May with that code. And both options will go into your Google Drive quite nicely, and they're easy to get the shareable link.
Yeah, I'm curious if any of you have made recordings already, and you want to pop into the chat there and just say, have you tried Google Meet? Have you tried Screencastify? Do you have another recording option that you've used? What do you like best? We'd love to hear your feedback. Screencastify, the free version, will give you 5 minutes of recording, which for a shorter picture book might be fine, but we wouldn't want you to run out of time. And so Google Meet is another pretty simple way to make the recording. And Google Meet also has a brand new option, which we'll show you, where you can record the Chrome tab. And that is helping our books show up a little bit larger and nice, more readable than they were before.
Miranda, are you recording your Chrome tab right now for this Meet? Or?
Yes. So
okay.
Yeah, so it should record.
You can see the screen.
So are you seeing the presentation?
Yes, and it's nice. It's clear and nice and full screen. And another option is if you were moving forward and meeting with students in person, a way to make your screen bigger is just make sure you turn grid view off. You could still have your groups of students along the side of the screen, but then if you turn off grid view, it will make your screen presentation a bit larger. I saw somebody ask Miranda's addressing some of the questions. Using Loom, I've seen people use Loom with Sora. Somebody would like to know. I haven't used Loom. But I know there are people in the district we should invite to demo that for us.
Yes, I know Chris Hesselbein has used Loom or has tried it out, and I signed up for it but haven't tried it yet. So it sounds like that would be a really good option. And they also say that they'll be free always. So that's nice. You don't have to worry about the code. Somebody asked about Epic, and I have a class code for Epic that anyone can use, and it is on that infographic. But if, as an educator, whether you're classified or credentialed, you can go into Epic and make yourself an educator account. And then you have access 24/7. You're not limited to the hours that it's available for free. Chris, did you want to jump in? I thought maybe.
Yeah. The question is about Loom. I was just about to put Russ Irwin made a great Loom video, so I'm going to put that up on losdlogic.org under the video recording tab, and they are free and apparently will be free in perpetuity for teachers. So that's amazing. Yeah, that's cool.
And then I just put a plug in. Lots of people have been wanting to just read an actual book, just record themselves reading a book, and have been successful at that, trying different camera angles, or having a family member maybe record them with an iPad or sitting in front of their Chromebook. So if you want to give that old school option a try and it works for you, that's great, because the kids will love seeing you with a book.
And Carrie, I'm glad you have that picture book at home with you, because I looked around today and I have no picture books whatsoever. I have YA books. But yeah, that's great. Someone asked about editing in Loom, and I'm not sure about that, but Chris just did an amazing session on all the video editing tools that we have access to.
Yeah, and in editing in Loom, you can trim out multiple sections. So if there's like little sections, you can actually like trim it. I don't know if you can really put multiple videos together, but you can definitely do very fine trimming right in Loom.
Oh, nice. Okay. Okay, great. So there are some options there. Someone mentioned that the audio quality was not great, and I have had that happen. Like one came through for me 2 days ago. I got the email and there was some crackly stuff, and I'm not sure why. So yeah, and then others turn out they seem to be okay.
And some people mentioned that they have good success when they wear earbuds or headphones. It just
yes.
Is a bit, although I will testify, it still doesn't cancel out the dog barking. But yes, it does kind of bring in that noise a bit.
But I think the dog barking could add some just interest to your video. Plus,
yes.
Plus, if you were doing a book about dogs, perfect. Right. Props are not a bad idea. What else? We can go back to the presentation. Okay.
Yeah, just before you record, of course, this is a no-brainer. Just think about, read the book beforehand. Anytime you do a read aloud, just read the book beforehand. Just get a good flow with it. Make sure that nothing takes you by surprise. It's a bit trickier, of course, not having that live audience if you're recording. So think about maybe if it's a picture book, what illustrations you'd like to highlight. Are you going to stop and ask questions about anything? Do test your microphone. And so basically do a practice run and think about your background and lighting. In Chris's previous session today, it was really good tips about, what do you want to look like on screen? And granted, it's all about the book and the kids will love you, so it doesn't have to be Hollywood quality, but maybe if you're in total darkness in your guest bedroom, think about that. And just do a practice run. You can, it'll both Google Meet and Screencastify will give you, your recording. Screencastify almost immediately, and Google Meet will send you an email with your recording so you can see it, and you can just delete it if you don't like it. Do it again, but don't spend 20 takes doing it. It's fine if it's not perfect. Right.
There are so many professional actors doing story times and things that we can find online, but that's not, we want students to see you and see your face and hear your voice, and that's really the point. Although I think Paula wore rabbit ears for one of her stories, and there's some very creative and excellent readings out there.
Yes,
have done.
Okay. And so in the next few slides, Miranda has kind of gone through step by step how to get started with Google Meet, how to find it. Remember, you are starting a meeting just with yourself if you're recording that, and you can name it, the name of your book if you'd like, give it a name. And then there is a new feature when you go to share your screen, and it's in that center panel right there where you can share one Chrome tab. And so it's highlighted there. You'll notice to Sora. And the example is Miranda has a Chrome tab open right now. So for example, you don't see the rest of her desktop or any of her other tabs. And so you can try that and see if you like that. And then don't forget to stop recording before you end your call, or you will lose your video. And I guess people have found that out the hard way. And I didn't realize that initially.
No, we found that out in the last session we did, where I said, oh, I don't know if it matters. And someone said, oh, it does.
It does, yes. And likewise, I've also stopped recording and not ended my call, because I was the only one on it, and I kind of opened up another window and I was doing things and I realized I was still in my own little Google meeting. So
so if you are doing if you have a print book and you're lucky enough to have a stack of picture books and you're reading them, you could just, of course, go into the Google Meet and hold up the book. If you are in Google Meet and you want to, this kind of, I think, goes over a lot of the same things we just said, but do know that you're going to get an email with a link to your video. And Nikki, you had talked about this a little bit. You want to change the video permissions if you're using Google Meet. And make sure that you can, anyone with the link can view your video, because it automatically is not shared. So if you're sharing that link on a spreadsheet, for example, to your teachers, so they can post it in Seesaw, for example, and they post that link and you haven't changed the permissions, students won't be able to access it. But you can just go back to your video, change the permissions, and you're good. And there's a little video here on how to do that. It's pretty easy, but you do have to remember to go into the advanced settings. So yeah. And then find out where at your school you are supposed to post your video. There are lots of different methods. If you want to throw into the chat, how are you sharing? That would be really helpful to see how the different schools are sharing this information.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right, and so we added a slide about Screencastify. If you'd like to try it, it is a Chrome extension, so you could grab it from the Chrome Web Store. And when you launch it, you'll get a little box, and this is where somebody said, how do I show myself in a Screencastify? You would select Embed Webcam, and that's how you would show up in your recording. And the nice thing about Screencastify is it gives you a lot of sharing options. If you see over there on the right-hand side, you can automatically put it onto Google Classroom. You can publish it to YouTube if you'd like, or you can just get the shareable link to add to your building's shared doc or Padlet, or however people are collecting them. So that's really nice. And Screencastify does have a simple editing tool as well. You can trim the beginning or the end of your video a bit before you finalize it.
And you don't have to do that, but I know that for me, at the very end, I'm usually fumbling to stop recording. So I have a couple of awkward seconds of silence at the end. So I might want to fix that, and Screencastify makes that really easy. I do note that on our screenshot there, it says record desktop. You might want to use browser tab. And then let's see, what was the other thing? Oh, do know that in Screencastify, you'll see your little embedded picture, and it'll be down in the lower right-hand corner, and you can drag that around. So if it's blocking the book, for example, you could move it to somewhere that works better, which in Google Meet you can't do. It just shows up on the right side. Your face will be there. In Google Meet, you'll be looking at the ebook, and you won't see yourself as you're recording, but your face will show up there. All right.
Oh, we have one comment from Clarissa about picture books and putting picture books onto a slideshow presentation and then presenting the slideshow as you read as you go, and that has been successful. So that's another option.
You could do that. I mean, that is a bit of extra time, but there are times when we don't have the ebook and you've got the print book and you want to share that in a different way. So that would definitely work. And then we're going to show you, so Raz Kids, which is something that we have a free trial through the end of the year, and many elementary schools are using it. And the quality of the books, they might not be things that you really want to do a read aloud on, but there are some that are nice. Carrie, do you want to?
Yeah, there's some nice. They have a folktale collection, and they also have, a large nonfiction selection. And we also put this in as just a reminder that as you start to maybe meet with kids live on Google Meet, that you can still project ebooks. And Raz Kids has a projectable feature. So a lot of teachers have gotten a Raz account and may be working with it. And so this is a screenshot of a Raz book being projected. And it comes even with like built-in tools for your projection. So you could highlight vocab words or keywords. You could post a little question icon, and you could do this live with the kids, or even you could read aloud from this and record that as well and push it out.
Yeah, and so I think that will be a good option as we do more one-on-one work with students and reading with students. And I also really like those drawing tools because you could highlight or underline or circle a word and know what part of the book you're working on. So many good comments here. Let's see. Kari's saying that she prefers Screencastify over Google Meets and likes to be able to see herself as she's recording. So definitely. Yeah, let's see what else. Right, taking pictures of the pages. Reading right onto Seesaw. Mm-hmm. So recording a book directly and reading it on Seesaw.
Okay, and Seesaw has enough minutes for that, so
mm-hmm.
that's good.
Okay. What other questions or suggestions, thoughts do you have? I have another example here of what the students see as they're reading, if you're reading with them on Raz Kids. And then a split screen view, although in this one I noticed I didn't pin my face. So Carrie, who's working with me here as I'm being her student, is not seeing my picture as big as she could. So if she used the pin option, mm-hmm. you're able to see the student more clearly. And then I think I would also suggest making the book bigger and the student smaller, but you can adjust that if you do split screen. Or if you have two screens, that might be even better.
Questions? Oh, how do I get the links? Yeah. So we put some of the links are up at the top of the chat. Miranda put the infographic of where to get all the ebooks, and we put the distance learning website. But this slideshow, I'm not sure we've.
I think we did at the beginning. So if anybody came in a little bit later, they might not see it. I'm going to put them back in the chat so you can get them. How to do split screen might be a good demo. We could do that. Let's see. Why don't I demo the split screen, and then Carrie, if you want to throw that link in again.
I will. And
at the very beginning of the chat.
Yeah. And somebody asked when they are off the chat, how they can get the link.
Yeah, so all of this will be posted. The presentation and this video will be posted on the LOSD Logic page. Let me put that in the chat as well.
Yeah, it's I know as the chat scrolls down, then you lose those links.
Or if you come in, I've noticed if you come in after, or if you leave and come back, you also lose that. So, but all of it will be posted.
Yeah, let me put this.
And then I was going to do a quick demo of split screen. Okay, so and I'll throw in the pin feature. So let me do that right now. I'm going to present, and I'm going to present my entire screen because you're going to need to see every window. Okay, so I'm presenting my screen here. And I'm going to go on my Chrome browser. I'm going to go on up, and I'm going to use this button. And if yours is a little different, it might be different. But now you'll see my messy desktop, but I'm going to go ahead and split my screen so I make it smaller. It doesn't fill my entire desktop window here. I've got another Chrome browser open behind that, so I'll close that one. And I can adjust just by dragging it smaller here or from the corner. And then I'm going to grab this Google Meet, and any of these tabs I can just grab and I can drag them off into their own kind of Chrome browser window. And then I'll be able to adjust the size on that, etc. So right now I've got 2 Chrome windows open. Let me adjust this so it's smaller. And you can kind of see how I'm dragging things around. I've got my presentation now. I've got my Google Meet going. And then if I want to pin a student, can you see that? How I could mute, or I can pin to the screen. And when I pin, I'm able to see Carrie's face. I could unpin her and pin someone else. Hello. Yeah, so if you have more than one student, maybe you'd have to see them larger one at a time, or just leave it this way. But if you're working with one student, I definitely want to pin their face. And then I could be over here and have an ebook open. I could have a spreadsheet open. I could be showing a YouTube video. I could be using a virtual whiteboard. We could be reading together, all of that. So. Oh, 3 or 4 screens. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could. Yeah, you could definitely have as many tabs open as you want, as you can juggle. Hopefully your screen is big enough. Yeah, you'd have to be in the Google Meet in each one of them. So that might be like, you might get some feedback or some strange things happening.
Mm-hmm. And then someone asked about, is there a command for the split screen?
But I don't.
Yeah, I've usually just used like the full screen on a Mac, like the little green button. But then on a Chromebook, there is a little icon. Of course, I don't have a Chromebook, right? There's a little icon in the upper corner that you can use to like divide out your screen.
Right. And I did try that on my Mac, and it just started getting confusing to do that because it splits it exactly.
Yes.
And so I actually like
dragging
and adjusting, because I want the student a little bit smaller than the book so that I can see the words. Yeah. And there was a question here about, Alt tab. Okay, great. To get your second screen. Yeah. What does it look like on the student side? So that is on the document, the presentation here. We have an example, or a couple of them. So let me pull that up. And I want to be very careful when I'm doing this that I don't close my Meet, because then we lose the recording. So, okay. So here's what I would see with my split screen, and I've pinned Carrie's face. And then here is what Carrie would be seeing in that situation. So we can go back and forth. That's my view with the split screen. And then she's seeing it like that. She's seeing me, and she's seeing what I'm presenting. So that could be an ebook, like in this case, or it could be a video. It could be a whiteboard where I'm doing a math problem. Okay. Students don't, well, let's see. Students wouldn't see my whole desktop if I'm presenting just, that's a good question. I have to think about that. How that would work. But this is, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, like right now you're presenting your screen and I can see like your tabs.
Right.
Is that the question?
Right now I am presenting my whole desktop, because in order for you to see the split screen, I had to do that. If you're presenting to a student, you might just say, present my browser.
Sure.
You wouldn't want to just present the Chrome tab, probably. Well, yeah, you could just present the Chrome tab if you already have if you're only going one place.
Right.
Like you have your book up or your whiteboard up, and you're not going to take them on a tour of different websites.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot of questions coming in.
Yes, lots of comments on that. Yes, you could see my desktop because I wanted you to see the split screen, and I chose desktop. Mm-hmm.
Question about trying to add Screencastify. It says the app isn't whitelisted by the district.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so you might have some permissions issues or with your login. Why don't you email us and we'll get that taken care of. I'm going to stop recording, but please hang around. We'll keep answering questions. But I am going to stop the recording now.